Once the heart of 13 imperial dynasties, the Chinese city of Luoyang boasts a legacy stretching back over 4,000 years. Here, emperors rose, dynasties fell, and the foundations of one of the world's greatest civilizations were laid. Today, we invite you to join us on an unforgettable journey into Luoyang's fascinating past through 3 remarkable museums. Our adventure begins at the Luoyang Museum, a treasure trove showcasing the grandeur of ancient dynasties. Magnificent bronze artifacts capture the spirit of a city that was once the epicenter of culture and innovation. Next, we delve underground at the Luoyang Ancient Tombs Museum, where you'll step inside 2,000-year-old tombs to marvel at faded frescoes and funerary treasures, and then deep into the earth to see the tomb of the Emperor Xuanwu. Finally, we visit the Guo State Museum, built atop the burial grounds of the Guo vassal state. Here, jade artifacts of unparalleled beauty and the tales of a long-lost kingdom reveal a history both powerful and poignant. Welcome to Antiquities Explorer, your guide to historic places. Follow us to different countries as we search for ancient artifacts. If you too wish to explore the ancient past through travel, we'll help you plan where to go, what to see, and how best to enjoy what you encounter. In this series of the AE, you can accompany Tina and me on our trek through China, homeland of the ancient Han, Bo, Miao, Di, Weiji, Jiang, and Rao. Come on, let's go! So far, our visit to Luoyang took us to Longmen Grottoes and the archaeological site of Erlito. You can learn about those in our previous episode. Today, our expedition takes us to the Luoyang Museum, which chronicles the ancient history of this region, to the Luoyang Ancient Tombs Museum, where numerous aristocratic and royal tombs can be found. And then, we will head to nearby Sanmenxia, where we will visit the Guo State Museum, built atop the tombs of King Guoji and Guozhong. Luoyang awaits. Let's find out what we can about its past. The Luoyang Museum is the only comprehensive history museum in the city, so it's a great place for us to start our journey for today. Entrance is free, but as is customary in China, you should make reservations on the museum's WeChat account a couple of days in advance to make sure you can get in. More than 400,000 artifacts are collected here, with some 11,000 of them on display. Just looking at the Heluo civilization, or culture. What is the Heluo civilization? It refers to the culture that developed here at Luoyang. The name is new. It was coined only a few years ago when the prehistoric site of Shuanghuaishu was uncovered. 5,300 years old, to be precise. It was a Yangtze culture site, named that for the types of relics they found, which you are seeing here. But the archaeologists wanted to give it its own name, so they called it the Heluo Kingdom, named for the area at the convergence of the He and Luo rivers. Since the civilization here at Luoyang sprang from it, it has come to be called the Heluo civilization, and the first floor of the museum is dedicated to exhibiting its history. So we have some Erlito items here also at the Luoyang Museum, Xia Dynasty period. Yes, pottery is the most abundant artifact of all artifacts. Makes sense. What people use every day. It's cool though, these ceramic vessels are of course the cheaper version of the bronze vessels of the ruler. Of course in the Xia period, I think it's all ceramic. Not many bronze. It's pottery, right? You get in the Shang dynasty, you start to see the same types of vessels being made, not only out of pottery, but also out of bronze. Lots of pottery hay vessels. This looks like Shang. Yeah, Shang, bronze jia. I've always wondered why there are 2 things sticking out of the top of these drinking vessels. Future David here, I checked into that, and the two protrusions on the top of a bronze jia are believed to have been used to hang it over heat. They would have been filled with wine, as you may know. Most ancient Chinese bronze artifacts that have survived are ritual objects rather than practical tools or weapons. Even bronze weapons such as daggers and axes often carried symbolic meaning, representing the divine authority of rulers and their connection to heavenly power.
The Zishan Fuji bronze tripod here, it's exquisitely decorated. The bird-shaped flat feet are special. It's one of the typical utensils in the late Shang dynasty, with the name Zishan Fuji is inscribed on the inside. This is from the Western Zhou dynasty. This is a Shaobohu bronze shoe found at Luoyang, and it's from the Western Zhou period. Really amazing.
As you may know from earlier episodes, bronze vessels were commonly placed as grave goods in the tombs of royalty and nobility. These vessels were crafted for use in ancestral rituals, where offerings of food and drink were made to honor both deities and the spirits of ancestors.
Western Zhou dynasty spearhead. And some hellbirds. Okay, now we're into the spring and autumn period. Around Confucius time. This is a bronze ding. Personally, I don't think it's great. It's certainly not as well shaped as the Shang ones we were looking at. There's another one. Inscribed Chi Ho, spring and autumn period, bronze yew. Okay, and here's another massive bronze ding from the spring and autumn period. According to some, it's the size that counts, not the quality. I mean, this is amazing. It's fantastic. But it's not quite as exquisite as some of the others we've seen. Still, if you get up close, you can see some interesting carving work done there, very detailed. Big, huh?
Big.
Now, if you ask me, this, on the other hand, is, I think, much more well done. It's from the same time, spring and autumn period. You have your better artisans and your worse artisans. And here are some bronze bells from the Warring States period, which is the end of the Zhou dynasty period. Check out this bronze figurine. There's another model house. Looks very similar to the one we saw in the other museum from the Eastern Han dynasty. More pottery granary models. They look like granaries, but they're miniature and you can put foodstuffs in them. A pottery workshop model. Isn't that great? Oh my. So here you can see some writing from the Eastern Han period. It's just an epitaph for a prisoner who had died. And I guess they made him a little dedication when they buried him. And that's what this is. Look at this. This is a glass bottle from the Eastern Han period. Look at this lamp from the Eastern Han period. Wow. Bronze mirrors. These are musician figurines. These are coin molds, which look like keys. They're not keys. They're coins. Yeah, they're coins. Jade discs. See this? Looks like a frying pan. It's actually an ancient iron. You put hot oil into it, and then you iron your clothes with it. A fresco from the Eastern Han Dynasty period. These are pottery figurines from the Western Jin dynasty. Comes from the period just after the Han. Look at this entourage. This is from the Northern Wei dynasty. This is around the same time that they started making the grottos at Longmen. I thought these might have been priests or monks or something, but they are warriors, each holding a cane. Northern Wei dynasty. These are servants.
In the Shang and early Zhou dynasties, human sacrifices were often placed in royal tombs. But this practice was condemned in the Eastern Zhou dynasty, and after that, people began using ceramic figurines as substitutes. The museum features more than 400 figurines from the Han dynasty to the Tang dynasty, and you can see how they evolved over time.
Look at these glazed figurines from the Sui dynasty. All right, we're into the Tang dynasty now. Beautiful glazed ware. Ting Ting loves the Tang dynasty. Judging from the art, you can see why. Bronze mirrors are still going strong in the Tang period. They're even more exquisite than before. Look at these amazing Tang dynasty figurines. Holy cow. I love figurines. I love the, not just figurines, but depictions of people. So paintings, things like that, but depictions of people doing their things in daily life, how they looked, you know? Animals too, I mean, right? What they were interested in. A warrior from the Tang dynasty. Look at that horse, man. Fabulous. Another ceramic horse. It's beautiful. See, this is how you can tell like what kind of saddles they wore and so forth. This is tomb guardian to scare away the evil spirits from the Tang dynasty.
The four heavenly kings are four Buddhist deities, each entrusted with guarding one of the cardinal directions of the world. The Chinese versions have a distinctive look about them. In Chinese Buddhism, they are considered part of the 20 Devas, or 24 Devas, a group of wrathful deities known as Dharmapalas, who appear to safeguard and uphold the Dharma.
It's a stela, Tang dynasty. It's got a sculpture of the, what they call the first Shenlong period, which I believe is part of the Buddha's life.
One of my favorite parts of the museum is also on the first floor, and that is the carved stone exhibit, featuring sculptures and inscriptions. Most are carved in limestone, marble, and sandstone.
What you see here is a stone bixia, mythological animals that were intended to ward away evil, so they're like guardians, and one is a male and one's a female.
This stone bixia from the Eastern Han Dynasty weighs about 8 tons. What makes it unique is that it has wings, and this is not usually found on stone animal sculptures in China. The card says it's carved of bluestone, but that's just a generic term for a number of stone types. I'm no geologist, but I'm guessing limestone. Yes, the Chinese have stone sarcophagi as well.
We're basically looking at stone statues that were put in front of tombs. These are stelas from the Northern Qi dynasty, 6th century. This one is of Zhao Qingzhu. These are tomb markers. Oh, this is one. The second one here is from the Sui dynasty. This third one here is again from the Northern Qi dynasty. Another Northern Qi dynasty. There's a stela with some sculpture, Buddhist in nature, and it's from the Northern Dynasties period, 4th to 6th century. And on the back, there is an inscription in Chinese. But there's no translation that I can find. This is from the Tang Dynasty period, 8th century, the stela. And the inscription was actually from the year 742. And the inscription is about the governor, Jiang Yanhui of Fuzhou. Tang Dynasty. Tells you what the pagodas looked like at the time.
Up on the second floor is the Ancient Treasures of Luoyang exhibit. Out of the thousands of artifacts carried by the museum, the ones that best capture the creativity and aesthetic value of Luoyang art have been put here. These are must-sees.
Interesting, this is a Shang Dynasty vessel. This is Western Zhou Dynasty. So inside of the lid's shaped like a house, are the characters, two characters that say the name Mu Gu. And Mu Gu is a lady from the Gu kingdom. But this vessel was captured by the Zhou people who took it from the Shang people at the time that the Shang were overthrown. Horse trainer training a horse. This is from the Tang Dynasty. You probably can tell it's Tang Dynasty when you look at it now. Getting to know the art.
Here on the second floor, there's also an exhibit dedicated to just ceramic figurines. If you saw our first episode this series, you might remember the tri-glazed pottery from Tongguan kilns and how beautiful it was. That was from the Tang Dynasty, and this museum here on the second floor also has Tang Dynasty tri-glazed pottery.
This is a performer, entertainer. What do you think of the hairstyle? Could be in Star Wars.
Tri-glazed pottery from this period, which is called Tongsan Tai, is considered the high point for this kind of ceramic firing technology. The three colors they used were usually yellow, green, and white, though sometimes they use brown, blue, or black. It's absolutely exquisite. And we're not just talking about pots, but other kinds of objects, most notably figurines. For dinner, we walked down the street from our hotel in Luoyang city center and spotted what appeared to be a popular hot pot place. Tina loves hot pot, so we tried it out.
What are these? Chili. Soy sauce? Soy. Here we have various kinds of congee, and then you can put toppings on top.
If you're not familiar with hot pot, basically you choose a broth and they keep it simmering at your table. Then you pick out whatever you want to put in it from an assortment of foods that the restaurant makes available for you. And this one had a lot to choose from. For China, it was pricey, but in America, it would be considered reasonable. And the place was clean, hip, and the food quality was high. Definitely worth a visit.
Oh, that looks good.
The Luoyang Ancient Art Museum, also known as the Luoyang Ancient Tombs Museum, is a hidden gem that plunges you into the depths of China's imperial past. Tucked away in Mengshan, just 8 kilometers north of Luoyang city center, this awe-inspiring museum is the first of its kind in the world and one of China's largest, dedicated to ancient tombs and their breathtaking murals. Spread over 7 acres, or nearly 3 hectares, the architecture of the museum's building complex evokes the grandeur of the Han Dynasty.
You may be wondering, how are there 25 tombs right here on the site of the museum? Or was a museum built in a cemetery? And the answer is no. The tombs were actually scattered throughout Luoyang, and they were restored here. So we've got a selection of tombs ranging from the Western Han Dynasty period up through the Song period. We won't get into that later history, but they've been put here.
Hi everyone, we are at Luoyang Ancient Tombs Museum. There have lots of tombs from Han, Tang, Wei, Song dynasty. Come on.
Yeah, one thing to know about ancient China is that the members of the same clan lived and died on the same piece of land. And they paid respect to the dead according to their kinship-based customs. By the way, when they find clan graveyards, there's two kinds. They have the gongmu and the bangmu. And gongmu is a clan graveyard for the nobility, for high-ranking officials, and the bangmu was for commoners. And they each had their own customs, their own rules. Clan graveyards go all the way back to the prehistoric period, in the Neolithic age. But it will continue, and as we get into the Shang and Zhou dynasties, they're basically continuations of the old clan graveyards of earlier. But then when you get into the Eastern Zhou, that's near the end of the Zhou dynasty, and into the Qin and Han dynasties, you're going to see the practice of clan burial declining. They started having family burials instead of clan burials. Clans are bigger, right? Families are smaller. So basically, you're going to be buried in your family graveyard, and the family is a smaller unit. If you died outside of town, far away, they would bring your body back, and you'd be buried with your family. These are some ceramic figurines of musicians from the Western Han Dynasty, very early, from a tomb. With the king, of course, it's different. Even as far back as the Shang Dynasty, the kings built these beautiful mausoleums for themselves. A tomb of this sort was called a ling. Here's a reconstruction of the layout of the first Eastern Han mausoleum, imperial mausoleum. Mountains were seen as a symbol of imperial supremacy. And when a king died, it was like a mountain was thought to collapse. So he would have his mausoleum built during his reign while he was still alive. You know, we see things like that in Egypt too. And the mausoleum would be where he can enjoy what he had in this life after death. Model of Saowei tombs. You see some photos of the tombs themselves, their original location. Keep in mind here that Luoyang was the capital city for 13 different dynasties. Yeah, so many imperial mausoleums were around here, and they were near mountains. They built the mausoleums near mountains. This is a part of a stone coffin from the Northern Wei dynasty, and you can see an image of one of the heavenly kings on it. We saw statues of heavenly kings in the Luoyang Museum. You've probably heard of feng shui before, yeah? And according to the feng shui theory on burial, when a dead person's buried underground, the tomb and the spirit of the dead person combine to form an energy, and that energy can affect the fortune of the whole family. For an imperial mausoleum, its location can affect the fate of the whole country, because the emperor represents the whole country. So they usually chose a location surrounded by mountains and facing a river. That was considered auspicious according to feng shui. Here's another part of coffin. I don't know if it's the same coffin or not. It's got vermilion birds, human figures, animals or beasts of various kinds. This Northern Wei sarcophagus art. This is interesting. It's a figurine from a tomb from the Tang Dynasty, but it's depicting a barbarian. He was with a horse. I don't know where the horse is, but his hands were holding the reins. There's a painted ceramic vessel from the Han Dynasty. This room is filled with a bunch of these things. This is epitaph from the. These are all from the Wei and Tang dynasties, and an epitaph has an inscription on it that tells you the owner of the tomb, where he was from, where the location of the tomb is, and the virtuous conduct of the deceased. This is very similar to what we see in ancient Egypt, where they have autobiographies in their tombs of the nobles of the Old Kingdom. These are shorter, of course, but very common in the tombs of important people. Okay, now we are entering the ancient tombs section.
The underground section, arranged in a square formation, features 25 tombs divided into halls dedicated to the Han, Wei and Jin, Tang, and Song dynasties, respectively. We focused on the three sides from the ancient period.
All of these were found in Luoyang. The doors are cool. So I think these stone doors are original. The tomb was put back together here. There were murals inside of it. There's not any murals here now because the murals, I think, are on display elsewhere, and we'll have to check it out. The tomb was probably built in the late Eastern Han Dynasty or early Cao Wei period. So basically, there are rooms, and they're each a tomb. Reassembled here in the museum, but not all of them you can go into. Oh, this one we can go into. Oh, this is the Eastern Han Dynasty tomb. Let's go inside. Stone doors. Oh, this one's nicer. Much bigger. Oh, and the murals are here. They're under glass, but they're still here. Oh. Let's take a closer look.
Each tomb invites you to witness a part of the rich tapestry of Chinese history and artistry, frozen in time beneath the earth.
So this one is from the Eastern Han. This one is from the Eastern Han Dynasty. Bronze coins within it indicated its date. But there's about 100 bronze coins they found, but most of the tomb had been robbed. It's interesting that they left the bronze coins. Maybe they were worthless by the time it was robbed. The bronze coins probably weren't worth that much in the period when the tomb was plundered. This tomb's from the Xin Dynasty, very short-lived dynasty that was in between the Western Han and Eastern Han dynasties during the reign of Wang Mang. You can still see the original murals here on the wall, on the ceiling. Oh, amazing. So cool. I presume the deceased was in there. We know the date of this tomb, 247. It belonged to the Cao Wei family. The door's interesting. Yeah, look at the door. I like the doors. They are original. So this is from the Western Jin Dynasty. When I read about this museum, I read that, it's a small museum, not a lot of people come here, you know. It's crowded just like every museum we've been in. Western Jin Dynasty, this would be late 3rd, early 4th century. So here you can see the placement of the epitaph on the, where the coffin, in front of the coffin. The tomb owner is Pei Ji. And his mother, wife, and daughter were interred in here. So it's a family tomb, but it was robbed. However, the epitaph was still in it. It had Peiji's name in it, his title, his date of burial. Okay, this is the tomb of Anpu and his wife from the Tang Dynasty. Around the year 709, during the reign of the Emperor Zhongzong. The epitaph from the tomb tells us who it belonged to. This is the tomb of Li Siben and his wife from the Tang Dynasty. And we don't know the exact year. Let's go in. Okay, these figurines look like replicas. If you ask me, I think they're replicas. The originals are probably in the museum. Either in this museum later or in another museum, probably another. Yeah, that must be his mound. That big mountain.
In the west of the Luoyang Ancient Art Museum lies the imperial mausoleums of the Northern Wei dynasty. At its heart stands the awe-inspiring mausoleum of Emperor Xuanwu, a structure that has endured the test of time for over 1,500 years. If you recall, last episode we showed you Emperor Xuanwu's work at Longmen Grottoes at the Binyang Caves. Not many imperial tombs are open in China, so this is a treat. Guarding the entrance are two solemn stone sentinels, standing as silent witnesses to an age of emperors.
This is one of the highlights of the museum. This is not a moved tomb. This is the actual burial mound here, the Jingling Mausoleum it's called. And this tomb is said to have belonged to the Emperor Xuanwu. This is from the Northern Wei dynasty. He began reigning in 499 at the age of 16. He died in 515 and was interred here. Now, unfortunately, the tomb was robbed, but we can still go in and see what the design of Northern Wei imperial mausoleums was like. So let's go check it out.
Within the tomb lies a central stone coffin, a stark reminder of the emperor's eternal rest. The Guo State Museum is a thematic museum built on the burial grounds of the ancient Guo vassal state, which thrived during the Western Zhou dynasty, so these are very early times. From what I understand, this burial site is one of the best preserved cemeteries from the Zhou dynasty period. Originally centered in Baoji, the Guo State later shifted to Shan County, covering an area near present-day Sanmenxia. The capital was called Shangyang. The archaeological discovery of this cemetery, spanning the late Western Zhou to the early spring and autumn periods, unveiled the secrets of the ancient Guo State. The museum showcases artifacts from these tombs. The parking lot next to the museum was mostly empty. The entrance fee was 40 CNY, which is about $5.50 US. What we found out was that the reason it wasn't crowded is because it is off the beaten path, not because it isn't great. It's great. The Guo State, founded by members of the Ji royal lineage, was established during the early Western Zhou period. Its first ruler was the younger brother of King Wen and the uncle of King Wu of Zhou. The Guo rulers often held high-ranking positions within the Zhou court, playing key roles in military campaigns and strategic governance. Their influence was integral to the rise of the Zhou dynasty.
So most of the kings of the Guo State served as ministers of the Zhou dynasty. they kept close relations with the royal family. The Guo State was around for about 400 years. Destroyed in 655 BCE by the state of Jin, but started in, 400 years would be 1055 or so. So we're looking at bronze vessels from the Western Zhou dynasty period, very early. This is between the 8th and 10th centuries BCE. Notice the inscriptions on the inside, which identify often the owner. You can see it in some of the important inscriptions record historical events, tell us about the military or the political situation at the time, and so this helps to fill in the history. Now, you probably see that these are very much in the Western Zhou style, these bronzes, but there are elements about them that make them unique to Guo as well, and the inscriptions are a part of that, because the characters used by the Guo State were a little bit different than elsewhere. Guo Zhong is one of the rulers, and these are his bronze vessels. Guo Zhong. The rulers are often named by first the dynasty name, Guo, and then the throne name, Guozhong. These are from the tomb of Guozhong. This is a bronze fu of Guo Shuofu, Western Zhou period. Well, it's all Western Zhou period. The rulers of the Guo State had a direct line of descent with the Zhou family because they intermarried. There were many diplomatic marriages with the royal family. Along here are bronze dings and other bronze vessels from the same period. And of course, bells. Now these look a little bit different than some of the bells we've seen before. This must be the Guo style. The word for bell is zhong, and there are three types: the yongzhong, the nuzhong, and the bozhong. So they were used for entertainment, of course, but also a symbol of status and power. And look, there is writing on them. In fact, these belong to Guozhong, these bells. They were in his tomb. These are larger bells from his same tomb, so he had a smaller bell set and also larger bells. Well, maybe they're from the same set, I don't know. These are just bigger ones, but they're also from his tomb. And we see some similar designs with what we've seen, but you also see these motifs on here that are of the Guo style. It's fun to be a scholar who works on these things because, you know, you get to know the designs and the style of writing, and you can identify where they come from. The tomb of Guo Ji's wife, these are from. In ancient Chinese tradition, the period of the Western Zhou dynasty was considered, at least in the time of Confucius, it was considered like the glory days, the best times. But of course, China would surpass itself later. A set of chime stones from the tomb of the Prince of Guo. They're called Qing. Qing appeared beginning as far back as the Stone Age, Neolithic period. A jade phoenix from Guozhong's tomb. And here's a jade zhang, also from Guozhong's tomb. And here's a jade ge.
The tomb's treasures include exquisite jade pieces, renowned for their craftsmanship, quantity, and quality, unmatched in the Zhou dynasty.
Jade animals of various kinds. This is a little-known museum, and I just happened to come across it while doing research, and people were saying, "Oh, if you haven't gone to this museum, you should. It's a little gem kind of out of the way." You might say, King Tut, he had gold in his tomb. What does Guo have? Well, he has jade. Jade was very precious. Now, of course, the museum is going to toot its own horn, but they're saying here that the jade ware of the Guo State has not only the largest quantity of jade, but the most finely made jade, the best quality jade of anywhere in the history of, and anywhen in the history of ancient Chinese jades. Some of you may be wondering what these circular pieces of jade are. They're called, this is a jade B, B-I, B. And you might, some of my audience might be thinking, oh, they must be precision machine parts or something like that, huh? No. Oh, do they hang them on something, or put them around your neck? Well, they're always found, at least as far as I know, they're mostly found in tombs, and they were placed on the bodies of people. Yeah, so they seem to have some symbolic importance, and the usual interpretation is they represent moral virtue, rectitude, the high quality of a person, and the higher in status a person is, the more the quality of the B. Now, B can be made out of different things, but the jade B, they're the best. And these were, of course, found in the tomb of Guo, and they were on his body. And this is how Guo was found. I believe this is a replica. It is said also that perhaps they believed that jade was there to preserve the dead body. Remember, they believed that the dead should be treated as if they were still alive, and corpses would be undying if gold or jade were placed in the 9 orifices of the body. It would help preserve the corpses, keep them from rotting. Did they dig it up and figure out that worked? I don't think it would have worked, but that's what they did. So they put jade in the hands, on the mouth, on the toes, under the feet. The half circles are Yu Huang, and they're half of a UB. You can get an idea of how they wore the various jewelry items and other accessories back then, what parts of their bodies they go on. My 80% male audience might be saying, what's with the jewelry? Come on, I want to see some weapons. I want to see some precision machinery. You know? Well, they have that too. The remains of shields were found at one of the tombs of the Guo cemetery. I think this is a replica of what it looked like when they found them. Or maybe they haven't removed them. Some bronze ge, they're called. I guess they're like the halberds we were talking about, or showing you earlier, in the Guo style. These are also from Guozhong's tomb. Different sizes and shapes. Some spearheads and some arrowheads. Bronze. And this is the head of a bronze yue, which is a battle axe. This is from a ceremonial battle axe used by the Prince of Guo. The axe is called a fu. There are 2 kinds of axes. This kind is called a fu. The other one is called a yue. These are bronze engraving tools. Well, here's another fu. And these are adzes, bronze adzes. These are the accoutrements in bronze of used for chariots and horses. All the surviving parts in bronze. Of course, there were wooden parts as well that have not survived. Some more bells. Bronze wei. I don't know what wei are. Ting Ting, what are these? Wei? Bronze wei? Oh, what is this? Oh, good, we don't have to go outside. It's here. Oh my gosh. This has got to be the highlight of the museum. The chariot pit. This is all part of the burial of Guoji's wife. This is like an accessory burial of, they counted 38 horses and 19 chariots. That's, of course, 2 horses for each chariot. The horses over here, the chariots are here. And this is how they found it. Now, we just asked, is this a replica or is this real? And they said this is the actual pit. So they must have built the museum around the pit. This is amazing.
You might be wondering why the chariots from the tomb of Liangji look like that. Well, they are still in situ. When the archaeologists discovered them, they were careful not to uncover them completely, as this would have resulted in their destruction. Indeed, there may be little to nothing left of the wood underneath anyway. By leaving a layer of the clay on them, the shapes of the chariots are preserved.
And if you're wondering, did they kill the horses? Yes, they killed the horses. You know that? Ooh, wow. That's the tomb of Guoji. Right there. Deep that is. You can't even tell on video how deep it is. It's like very deep. This tomb had 5,293 artifacts in it. Bronze, gold, iron, jade, things like that. Now, those are replica artifacts down there, but this is the actual tomb. It is the actual tomb that they built this museum over. It was found in 1990 and was listed in the top 10 archaeological discoveries of China for that year. Look, they show you the position of every burial object found in Guoji's tomb.
The tombs of Guoji and Guozhong were recognized as China's top 10 archaeological discoveries in 1990 and 1991. And the burial ground itself was listed in 2001 among the 20th century's 100 greatest archaeological discoveries.
Oh, more horses. So this is the upper pit. I don't know who this is. This is tomb 2016, and it's another member of Guoji's retinue. 122 artifacts were found in it. And out here in the fields is the site of the cemetery. I'm not sure if they're still conducting digs out here or not.
We were soon back in the car and super excited for our next destination, another great capital of ancient China, the city of Xi'an, known in ancient times as Chang'an. In this travelogue, we really only scratched the surface of what there is to know about ancient China. If you want to go deeper into the rich history of this fascinating land, I offer university-level online courses on China that I think you would love. Want to find out more? The link is below the video. In our next episode, we will visit the mausoleum of the first emperor, Qin Shi Huangdi, and we'll show you more than just the terracotta warriors. Then we'll visit a brand new ancient history museum in the city, the Qin Han Museum, which will tell us more about China's first 2 imperial dynasties. We will round the episode out by visiting the Xi'an Museum to get a close look at a fabulous array of artifacts from the Zhou, Han, and Tang dynasties. Subscribe so you don't miss it.